my name is Haley Russell and I am giving a presentation entitled Exploring Diversity in the Classroom. I chose this topic because I think that it is really important for teachers to understand the facets of diversity. No matter what teacher, where you are, every student you have, whether because of racial, cultural, or religious differences, is unique. Diversity creates every classroom and it changes all your students. To understand diversity is to know your students better. One of the biggest problems with diversity and prejudice is that prejudice often goes unnoticed. It becomes too subtle and teachers don't see it going on. Prejudice can often create barriers between a child's ability to learn and what they're actually obtaining and retaining in the classroom. Also, to understand diversity is to know your students. As a college professor, I know that you're probably looking for what types of students that might be more tended to prejudicial behaviors. The following 3 slides gives graphs and charts that help you understand better what types of students exhibit that prejudicial behavior. The first slide exhibits the percentage of both male and female college students that exhibit prejudicial behavior. As you can see here, about 65 to 67% of male college students do admit and exhibit prejudicial behavior, while only about, I'd say 33% of female college students admit to and exhibit that behavior. So the first marker of a student that might exhibit prejudicial behavior would be a male student. This next slide tells you about students that might exhibit that behavior related to their parents' education level. As you can see, the least prejudicial group is the student where both parents are educated. In the middle, where one parent is educated, that percentage gets closer and closer. Whereas the highest, most prejudicial group is the one where neither parents are educated. This often may stem from smaller town life. As you can see here, this graph shows the percentage of college students that might exhibit prejudicial behavior as related to their major. As you can see, natural sciences is the least prejudicial group, whereas liberal arts is the most prejudicial group. A lot of people are interested to see that natural science students are less prejudicial, but because of their biological history and past, they honestly understand that most people are the same despite skin color. The greatest barrier that prevents teachers from effectively preventing prejudice in the classroom is the fact that a lot of prejudicial behaviors are instilled in students by friends and family. For a teacher to fully grasp and try to change that behavior, a teacher must respect that a student values their parents' and their friends' opinions. To better help that student, they must not step on their toes and try to devalue what their parents and friends believe. Also, another big problem is that people are often more likely to believe what other people say about groups that they have not personally experienced. It is easier to believe what other people have said about people you don't know than to just stand up for that group. As you can see in this chart, over a typical 4-year college stay, students are more tended to be prejudiced when they first show up, whereas towards the end, the amount of prejudicial behavior that they exhibit is a lot less. So this is probably due to the exposure to many different groups and varieties of people. Also, what a professor can do to try and prevent prejudice in the classroom is to try and group students with people that they typically would not work with otherwise, to encourage that communication between students that don't usually interact. Also, if that doesn't work, you can allow students to work with their friends once, and then maybe the next week work with someone that they don't typically work with. Also, let your students know that you are available if they feel that they are being treated unfairly. Let them know that your door is always open and that you will try to the best of your ability to treat each one of them as individuals but equally. Always be aware, too, of what kind of prejudice might be going in your classroom, because if you know what kind of prejudice is going on, you will better know how to prevent it. Any questions?
So, on one of your slides, you indicated that prejudice was directly related to the education of the parents. Why do you think that's so?
I think that's so because oftentimes when a student comes from a family where parents are not educated, they're from a smaller town, they know a less diverse group of people, so they're more tended to not like what they have not experienced. Whereas where a student has parents who are both educated, they've both gone to college, they have met a more diverse group of people, so are more likely to have a wider variety of friends that the student has interacted with, therefore lessening the chances of prejudicial behavior.
Okay. And on one of your last slides, you said that uh, to prevent prejudice, a teacher could pair up students that normally would not work together in groups. Now, my only question is, what if those students don't really want to work with each other, and therefore, when you pair them up, they just don't work? What would you do in that case?
I think a good way to combat that is to allow a student to work with a friend and a person they don't typically work with. If you try to mesh groups of people, I think the communication barrier doesn't go up. Students work better when they feel comfortable in their settings, so you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable because that will just make that prejudicial behavior stay. It won't prevent it. So maybe trying to mesh groups together rather than just forcing students into pairs if you know they're uncomfortable with the situation. All right, well, thank you very much.